Okay, I've tried to take this video about 100 times, and I'm praying to whatever God exists out there beyond this realm, impacting all the odds that we can't control. I hope that they, genderless being, allows me the opportunity to communicate this very important visual to you guys. And hopefully we can continue to show, not we, me, I can continue to show you guys that this isn't some grand, extreme, radical journey that you have to feel so far away from accessing in your regular everyday life. I truly want the everyday person to feel like they can do something with the emotions they feel. They can do something with the dreams they have. They can find a way to place those into this world and find more value in existing in this world. Find more appreciation for having the opportunity to wake up and just breathe every day. And everything else beyond that is a gift on top of the first opportunity. So as I go through these, I know there won't be some like one random book that I write or one this that I do or one speech that's just going to be the thing that completely flips heads. But one thing I do understand is that the more I allow myself to dig as deep as I can into these concepts that I'm sharing with you guys, the better of a chance that we have collectively to not only apply these to our individual unique circumstances and continue to actualize where we're trying to go and who we're trying to be, but it gives us an opportunity to, again, all participate in this collective consciousness, building opportunities not just for ourselves, but for the people who also desire to live lives similar to this one on this creative path. So hopefully, with all that being said, if these videos give you any kind of help, any kind of, assistance in the life that you're living, you feel free to like, comment, sub, share them with somebody who you also feel that these videos can benefit, because word of mouth, I truly believe, is the most amazing form of referral and the most trustworthy form of referral. So let's build our community from the ground around rather than attempting to build a pyramid and piss down. Take a look at the board right now. Give yourself an opportunity to, oh my goodness, did you guys notice that I got a haircut? Did you notice that, or did I have to tell you that? You noticed it, huh? Thank you. I appreciate you guys, even if you think it looks ugly, we're just gonna have to deal with it. Please don't say that, my emotions are. So please, throw some compliments if you could in the comments. That would help my self-esteem a lot. Very broken self-concept. So I am dependent on that external validation for the completion of my self-acceptance. But if the haircut wasn't something that you minded or cared about anyway, then let's just get ready to get into this video, should we? And also another thing is that when you watch these videos, I'm starting to think, not that like this is a mandatory class or anything, but it's probably going to be a good idea to have like a notebook or something that you can take some notes out of, because this is just like, I really tend to run in a lot of different directions. This doesn't even do nearly the conversation that I'll be having with you. It doesn't do it justice at all. So take this picture for reference, but remember, there's going to be a lot of nuggets and notes that you're definitely going to want to be able to clock into and really make sure that you have right next to you bookmarked, so you aren't just trying to continue to reconnect to these 30-minute, 45-hour-long videos. Before we get into this, actually, we did the promos, we did our introduction, we let you look at the board. I know I haven't been doing this consistently, or as I used to in the beginning of these, and I really should. Thank goodness I just remembered it. But I really just want to say how thankful I am that you guys even click on these videos, you subscribe to this page, you do what you do here. Like, you really don't have to. And it's a choice. I genuinely believe that. You go out of your way, take time out of your day to feed that attention to me and give me a chance to convince you of things that you may have not even known about. So gratitude is infinite. And I hope that you feel that in the passion that I put into the work and these concepts that I desire to share with you. I hope this is a relationship that we can build, even if it's only digital, parasocial. It's one where we can truly benefit our real lives beyond this platform that we connect on. So this really gets to mean something if we lose access to this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for wading through all that. Let's get into this video. I'm not sure how many of you guys noticed, but I went to the beach this past weekend. This is why I look so dark. Like, I was looking at the camera and I'm like, dang, maybe I gotta turn the brightness up a little bit. And mind you, this is not me saying that I'm ashamed of my darkness at all. I love being black melanin man, especially in a country that doesn't want us to love ourselves as much as I love our people. So I love this, but it's just a hilarious thing. Like, even our technology still, and I know, we have high quality pictures and all that, but still, I feel like even our technology doesn't accommodate black skin as like something other that needs to be accommodated. It's just like, oh, that's just an extra freaking thing, and an extra thing that like just distorts the technology we've already set up for the. Let's not make this a race thing. Let's not make this a race thing. But just some thoughts that I was having. I should probably save these for the TikTok, but really I don't care because I love you guys and I hope you guys love me enough to hear these extra thoughts that I've been having. But I just want to, I guess, include this loose one here because it's just so hilarious. So I'm hanging out with my cousin and her friends, and I realized that like I couldn't get my head around what the concept of aura was. Like I knew what it was, but I couldn't like put my hands like on what that really was. And I just realized aura, like I think aura is, in a hyper masculine misogynistic society, young men who are not comfortable or accepting of their own feminine energy but want that same reaction that comes from being in tune with or authentic about the feminine energy, instead of just saying this is bad bitch energy, they're saying it's aura. Because if you, especially as a man, have the fortune of hanging around like just, and I'm sorry that I'm saying like bad bitch, like I know that the word's derogatory, but if you have the fortune of hanging around bad bitches, like for real, my friend, it's literally like the world orbits around you. And it's like, and this has nothing to do with you as a man. This is just you by proxy benefiting from this like natural attraction that comes into your space as a part of the collective. And I'm telling you, it's a completely different experience. And then even, but not just this weekend, but in other experiences I've had too, it's like the way that guys transform, the way that other people transform, the way that like even other couples and whatnot start either feeling negative or feeling like it's such a different feeling. And I hope that what I'm trying to say with all of this is that I hope we as men continue to go deeper on these personal development journeys, really decide like going to heal ourselves and the trauma we have, so we can come to realizations like this and realize like, oh my goodness, I might be jealous of this attention, of this accommodation that bad bitches get, that pretty women get. We'll make it clean. That pretty women get. And I'm so jealous of it. I would rather take away women's ability to access that for themselves instead of allow them to do that and then the ones who appreciate me for who I am to do that. Even if it's not as many as I would hope for, or it's not the one specifically that I want to appreciate me. We will probably get into discussing this a handful of times, a handful of different ways, because if you have taken my self-concept to self-actualization series course, free course, go ahead and check that out. It's in one of the playlists on this channel. Then you'll realize that this is just the ego death into your new reality chart. It's the becoming aware of the current circumstances. At least we call this the present moment, but this is you, the individual person, because you are at the climax of past, present, and future. So this is your being, your awareness. While you are living, it never comes out of this moment. But because we are, and I hate to say it like this, but we are a hyper-intellectual species, not only do we think before we act, but we think about what we think about before we act. That leads us to, unfortunately, existing in realities that don't necessarily exist anywhere outside of our mind, but those realities that do exist outside of our mind have an opportunity of negatively impacting the reality we do live in real life, because we're at the mercy of the illusion rather than allowing ourselves to see, where is that illusion coming from and why am I attaching myself to it, and not allowing that to inspire me or motivate me to better cultivate more clarity and more connection into my present moment. Because at the end of the day, that's where we're trying to get to. Not dissociating from everything else that exists, clearing the way to see what is stopping us from fully being able to look, not just in the mirror at ourselves, but look into our soul and accept it for all that it is. Because only in that, taking that first step, will we be able to ever do the same thing for anybody beyond ourselves. In a society full of shame and self-rejection, we have to realize if we desire to help anybody, it has to start with here. Because we are also victims of these systems of oppression and these ideologies of ignorance. I want to decide. I want to decide how to get into this. And again, I guess while I'm waiting for the rest of this to continue to formulate, you are at the mercy of wherever you place your awareness. Mind you, I'm going to explain 3 circumstances in analogies that will help apply this to real life, so you know what I'm talking about, instead of just thinking, oh, well, that happened in the past, so maybe that's like an issue I have, or like that's going to happen in the future, or that might happen in the future, maybe I'm just worried. Let me give you a couple of examples. So when I say that the past is limiting your ability to move into the future, I'm not necessarily saying instead of analyzing this chart, this process as a linear timescape, I'm asking you to figure out where you're placing your awareness and what of your reality, like how is your external reality affecting your ability to directly be engaged with, intertwined with your awareness. Because think about this. If your awareness is sitting in your past, whether it's seeking the validation of your past, it's trying to prove something to people from your past, or it's still attached to the identity that is a version of you should have left behind, then the decisions you make right now are at the mercy of serving this old version of you that not only doesn't exist, but never will exist. And you attempting to feed the dead is you killing yourself, your present self, at least taking the opportunity of the present moment to cultivate a self out and literally feeding it behind you. pouring money down the drain. Wow, but as I say that, I don't want to neglect how even too much of the projecting the awareness into the future can also be a negative thing. Because if you're somebody like me, this is something that I would suffer with. My current circumstances were so shitty, at least in my eyes. I hated my current circumstances so much that the only thing I knew how to do was to project myself into the future or the reality I desired to live in. Whether it was a dream career, whether it was in fantasy books and movies and TV shows, whether it was in music, I'm always projecting myself outside of myself to escape feeling the reality of existing as who I was in my present moment. So as my present moment became my past, I finally was able to free myself, for at least the current circumstances, from my past. As that present became the past, I never left that. I stayed there and I continued to live a life that was serving this old version of me. And I continued to sit here and think in my present moment when I had the opportunity to actualize, to, hey, you know what? Do I want to design clothes? Let me start designing them. Do I want to start making content? Let me start making content. Do I want to start making courses to help people and then building a community on the back end of that? Let me build it. Instead of thinking like that, like, oh, I can do that right now. Because I am not in the same circumstances that I came from anymore. I left that behind me to create the space to bring in the new circumstances that I desired. But because I never allowed myself to stay in the present and leave my past behind me, there was no room for me to bring the future in. I never thought that I could do it today. I thought, well, you know what? Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe if I keep doing it for 2 hours a day, maybe next month, maybe 2025, maybe 2030, maybe 2035 will be my year, but not this year, not today, not this week, not now. And I had to look at myself and question, like, when would it ever get done? Any of the things get done that I wanted if I didn't do them right now at some point, if I didn't do them right now. And I had to bring my awareness pull my awareness. And that's why I say, like, it might be a weird thing and I don't want to like influence anybody by saying this specifically, but that's why I feel like I am not constricted to time and I have allowed time in all aspects to funnel itself through me and then allow my current self, my being, to fully exist in the present moment as much as possible. While taking that time personally aside from society to take those notes and remember to validate those feelings and go through those experiences and make sure I'm writing down my dreams and I'm communicating them to people who care about me and have the opportunity or desire to support me. But I've realized you're at mercy of a rotisserie chicken spinner, or like you're literally on a hamster wheel at the mercy of whatever position you're at on the wheel, or you're the one who creates the current. You're the one who ends up moving the tide. And if not moving the tide, at least allowing the tide to guide you into the direction or the path that you desire to be on. I don't know if I made a YouTube video on this, but I was supposed to make a podcast about it like 2 years ago, and it's called Positions Over Destinations. Not this is child friendly. It's called Positions Over Destinations, and the concept that I was attempting to present with that was you will never get to the destination that's going to save you. You will only be able to become the person that finally becomes worthy of accessing the destination, because the destination will never change. You will change to access that. And then you will realize why you had to change to access it, because only in changing yourself will you now appreciate what you've gained because of what you've sacrificed. That's got to be a channel message. That wasn't even me talking at this point, to be honest with you. To be honest with you. To be honest with you, rocking into bed now. And I know these videos end up becoming like 45 minutes to an hour long because I just constantly going on tangents. It almost feels like, but I'll definitely try to get to the point, directly to the point, especially with this one because there isn't too much to say. This is one of those, and I hate to say it, it's one of those slap you in the face videos. It's like, hey, you know what? Are you neglecting the responsibility you got to take to go where you need to go? Yes? Okay, let's figure out what we need to do. All right, let's do that. All right, let's move. It's that simple. We don't even have to say nothing to nobody. We just got to do it. And I think, especially in this social media age, it's very difficult to tell people like, no, you just got to shut the up and do the work. It's very difficult to tell people that because a lot of people like doing this. It's free. It costs no money to do this, especially about other people. It costs no money at all to do this about other people's relationships, about other people's careers, other people's education, other people's failures and shortcomings. This is free. Free. And to hate on them, and it's so entertaining and funny, especially when you don't have anything going on in your life. It's so funny. I hope you guys realize that shit was sarcastic as fuck, bro. I don't think that shit's funny at all. I think that shit's stupid as fuck. As we've already explained, that the importance is where your awareness is. That allows us to get into the conversation that is, what will you become based on how you respond to your solitude? How important is taking this opportunity that is separating yourself from the expectations of society and finally surrendering to the calling of your soul? How important is being able to become aware of that as early as possible and to commit to that as soon as possible for as long as possible? How important is that shit? We're going to discuss that right now. What's up? In a very individualistic world that we live in, going on an individual journey, what would be referenced as like a vision quest in some cultures, going on an independent journey to find the self is like psychotic. It seems like something you only do when you have nothing else to do in your life. But remember, I like to look at this as no matter what, even like intentional or unintentional, solitude is one of the most impactful experiences of your life. And once you finally find peace in that solitude, you'll realize how many people's whole entire lives is just cut up around running away from having to sit in that place and face the self. And we've created a society that allows you to buy every convenience to stop you from being forced to do that. Even though everybody who knows the inner workings, the general foundation of being a human knows that it's necessary for everybody to face that. It's karma. I mean, that's where you face your karma, with yourself, the person who's lived through it. So with this, I want to give you the best opportunity, at least an awareness as to what could happen depending on the decisions that you make when presented the opportunity of transforming your life when you get this solitude experience. First of all, I'll tell you, most of this solitude stuff doesn't start because somebody says, you know what, I got to cut everybody off and like really get to work. Most of the time, it's not that. More times than not, it's traumatic experiences that have just barred you so far off of like a developed foundation in general society that Now you've been pushed so far off of support, you now have to say, you know what? It's either I respect myself, like genuinely respect myself, and I move out of here and find out how to appreciate and accept this, or I just accept the disrespect that my old life, my old relationships, my old family, my old world is showing me until it destroys me. And then I just find something out in the world to blame so I don't have to take responsibility for not changing my circumstances. I say there's two ways to go about this. One, literally what I just described. You're going to be the person that says, I'm going to wait for the future to save me because I don't believe I am valid enough. I don't believe I'm credible enough in making the decisions, making the sacrifices, taking the steps that I need to, going the direction I need to go, especially if it's going alone, to get to where I need to go. So I'd much rather blame somebody outside of me, blame the world outside of me as to why I didn't do the things to get to where I wanted to go, or at least to get to a place where I could accept myself enough to not need to project that responsibility outward. And if not the responsibility, the shame, the hatred, the guilt, the pain, the animosity, all the stuff that doesn't need to be in this reality, in this collective consciousness, just because you couldn't address it within yourself. These are people that are destination-based mindset people. They don't care about the journey. And that's why capitalism can sell consumers and sell just general people so easily. Because if you only care about the destination, they'll tell you, oh my goodness, you want food in your belly? What if we got you 24/7 food in your belly? And then they have to start giving you toxic metals and like not even actual edible food inside your food to accommodate the demand for 24/7 food in your belly. Because capitalism says, hey, you know what? Let's fuck the journey. Let's convenience your journey and get you there quicker, get you there more something. And you, naive, ignorant, something, whatever you are, but not smart, buy into it. And you continue to sacrifice all the lessons and all the value that you gain and learn from being on the real journey for the ease of being able to access the destination faster than people who are actually on the journey, and then wearing these fake badges and titles to validate yourself in thinking that you have actually completed any kind of journey. That's the society we live in. We wear badges instead of battle scars. And again, we've talked about this 3 times in the past, not even 3 minutes and 33 seconds. The external salvation, projected personal responsibility. It's when you know that you can do better, the only person who's limiting you from doing better is yourself. But if you've projected that responsibility of teaching you, oh, well, what do you mean I'm racist? Nobody taught me any better. What do you mean I'm homophobic? What do you mean I'm this? Nobody taught me any better. Nobody showed me. At your big 35-year-old age, at your big 65-year-old age, nobody showed me. Oh, it's okay. Oh no, even better, even better. This is the best one in human history, probably in the Western world at least. Don't worry. Jesus died for your sins. Keep on sinning, brother. As long as you got enough money to pay the nearest church to clear your debts, their debts, I mean. And then they'll clear your spiritual debts on behalf of God. For any of my Christians in my subscriptions or watching these videos, I hope you understand, like, I'm not trying to make fun of your religion or nothing. I just need to expose the aspects of that which are really stopping people from accessing the power that comes with personal responsibility, because I know how deeply integrated Western Christianity is with cult, slave master, Aryan race religion. that somehow has just like never been allowed to like be stabbed to death ever. We've just always destroyed everything else except that, and then wondered why the world is the way it is and is about to become the way it's going to become. But remember, you don't like listening to smart people, especially when they're black, especially when they're disabled, especially when they're marginalized. So when the world crumbles, keep watching the Hunger Games and try to get some film from there to prepare you. The reason why these people right here will never access this life of their dreams is because they're not going to be the ones to access it. Even if they knew word for word, bar for bar, scene for scene what their dream was, whatever they decided to actualize was, even if they knew what it was, they wouldn't even be the ones to do it. They would be expecting somebody else to do it. So how would they even know how to maintain it if given access to it, if having not wanting to go on the journey to access it? Understand that this real value doesn't just show up in this life. Real value doesn't just, you can't just buy, you can't just conveniently access and have there's a sacrifice comes with everything. Intention, commitment. These energetic bonds, I'm telling you, are so serious. They're so real. Now, this is a completely different kind of person right here. This is a completely different kind of individual. I don't want to call it the opposite, but a very different individual right here. This is where I want you as a people to go. To break free from your solitude into becoming this person. So even if you ever go back into a solitude, if you ever have to falter or step back or even relapse, you know that you are always going to be the person that can get you right back. And then you can also take the initiative to creating a reality outside of you that reinforces the person that you desire to be. The healthy person, the strong person, the empathetic person, the loving, the caring, the selfless person. You can create a reality to support that. So you aren't standing on top of your own house of cards. This second person becomes the person who brings the future into the present moment, transcending human limitations with connection to the infinite spirit. And the reason why I say it like that is because of this specifically. When you stop living in this linear timescape of past to present to future, and you kind of just almost sitting strapped in a roller coaster, once you get out of that headspace, this is what you're going to have to realize. And I was describing about how I view myself as a timeless being. You're existing in the present moment because this is the only thing that exists. The past is experiences that you haven't fully accepted and allowed to release from yourself, because negative experiences, the only thing you need to retain from them are lessons, or else they drag you into the past and hold you there to stop you from accessing the future, stop you from seeing it, to get you to miss it, to get you to disrespect it, to get you to abuse it. And then you don't have any present moment because you've spent your whole present moment abusing future opportunities because you never wanted to address your past. Doing all of this in the present moment. Over time, you won't have one. Be the person. Don't wait for the destination or the savior. Be the person that decides what steps you need to take to progress on this journey. And remember how important it is to shed the aspects that don't serve you of yourself that you used to identify, used to attach to. Because if you continue to serve aspects of you that are not serving you and reciprocating that energy back to you, you are investing in your own decay and demise. And as creative people, as creative artists, unique people who contribute a different kind of energy and value to this world, we have to be very cognizant as to how we respect ourselves and how we cultivate our energy. because the value is in here. For the consumers, maybe the value is what they source, or the value is what they do for work, what they do at their 9 to 5. For us, the value is our existence, and we are attempting to mine ourselves and bring out the value, the gold, the diamonds that is our creativity, and appreciate this world with it. How does that sound? I think that sounds pretty good. And actually, this is actually perfect. Let me make sure this is still recording. Perfecto. This is a perfect time to explain, especially as like religious, especially as we're starting to see the split between religious cults and actual conscious spiritual communities. I want you to know when I say things like inner salvation and external salvation, I'm not saying, oh, you are okay. For this one, I'm almost saying you're completely dependent on the external. But when I say external salvation, I'm saying more times than not, you reject the self. You reject the inner awareness, the inner intuition in favor of the external salvation, the dominating force, the dominating truth, even if it isn't the truth and it is just a widely held opinion that is supported by the fear of the masses. And when I say inner salvation, I'm not saying you have to cut yourself off from a God. I'm not saying you have to cut yourself off from your religion. I'm saying your religion on the external should be helping you cultivate your inner awareness, because that is your inner divinity. That is an aspect of it, if not a majority of it. And for a religion, for your spiritual practice to be reinforcing in you daily, multiple times a day, that you need to reject yourself in favor of the people who have power over you, you are creating a slave mindset. And a creative is not a slave. A creative is only a slave to their purpose and a servant to the people that their purpose serves. I'm not telling you to be godless. I want to keep on reinforcing that. I'm not telling you to say oh, inner salvation means you got to abandon all society and go chaotic and put white girl dreads in your hair and whatnot. Like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm trying to get to is, don't let the outside world continue to force you, in knowing how you feel, reject this. Because at the end of the day, the only true life that you're going to be able to appreciate is one where you can fully accept this for what it is, even in its light and its dark moments. And then deciding how to best express that in this world that is asking for your humanity and consideration. This is a little extra piece, I guess I'll say, that I included right here. And I'm going to say I could have put ambition right here, but I have another video speaking directly about ambition that I'll speak on. It'll be super cool. But for right now, and this is how we're going to conclude this video. I look at solitude as an opportunity. And I look at self-sabotage as a consequence for that opportunity. Or running away from taking responsibility for that opportunity, because both of those things could be happening. But regardless, you're running away and not accessing this. I'm hoping through this video you found that there is nothing to run from. There's only something to run towards, and it is you. Because you are the unique soul. And from knowing that better than anybody else knows that, you give us an opportunity of sharing a perspective that nobody else could even imagine. And even if they could, at least you give life to visions that people could only see in their mind. And you bring those out into the world for more people to appreciate. Even those of us who didn't even know things like that were possible. But what I'm trying to get with this last part right here You will never make it out of this past part without some ridiculous kind of ambition. Like real ambition. And that comes from knowing that you're on, like knowing you deserve this and you're on this side of life in spite of everything. In spite of everything. Or being forced to become it by your circumstances. I don't believe, especially as in a general society in America, we do not teach our children, we do not teach young people, we do not teach creative people to be ambitious and to believe in themselves like this. We call people narcissists unless they're celebrities or they're, oh, well, that's a rich person, they can be whatever they want. We don't allow the everyday person, especially the everyday creative and non-traditional life path, because they're probably a social reject. We don't allow them to have that ambition, that drive, because the second this journey becomes personal, the second you can figure out what the fuck your why is, why you do this, and why you do this is more like transcends any bit of material wealth, any bit of, you can have any bit of, you can take any bit of anything you could do to compensate and to cope. When your why you do this transcends all of that, the world is at your mercy. The world is at your mercy. That's when life starts to get really crazy. Because that's when you realize, not that there are no rules, but a lot of the rules that we're forced to play by are simply to keep us asleep, to keep us enslaved. They got nothing to do with morality, nothing to do with being a good human. Maybe a good Negro, but nothing to do with being a good human. We came to this life to be ourselves, and we know that. And it's every day we're reinforced to reject ourselves, to put aside who we really are, to hope that the world, a world full of slave masters and slaves, is going to be able to validate us in the divine beings that we naturally are. Like, you really think that's going to happen anytime soon? Slaves are going to want to validate other slaves in being divine? No. Slave masters giving divinity back to slaves when they can get an abundance of that divinity by the slaves dependent on the slave masters for their salvation? Like, I'm not trying to be grim here. I'm just asking you to think in reality. Maybe success is freedom for us. Maybe success isn't all the BS that they're selling us. Maybe success is just freedom for us. And maybe I'm trying to give you an opportunity to see how you can create that for yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video. And I hope you donate to the channel. And if you can't, I hope you share the video. And if you can't, I love you. Because you've shared your time and your attention and your value with me. And I hope that this is value that can make your life a better place to live in, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of who you are. I love you for real. I hope you love my haircut. I hope you love me back. And this should be over right now. You have a great day.